more.
Divest!
Every university worldwide.
Divest!
We didn't stop using whale oil because we ran out of whales. Similarly, we're not going to run out of fossil fuels. We're going to transition away from them because of our innovation and our deep commitment to what's right. And this time, it's not just the beautiful, magnificent species of whales that are on the line, it's us. Our future is on the line. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to be part of Global Divestment Day. Thank you, and let's keep up the fight.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce City Council Member Helen Rosenthal.
Thank you so much. You're a good man. You know, I'm so tempted. It's really cold outside. I'm really tempted just to say, divest now! Divest now! But I'm not. I worked really hard on this speech because this is a tough problem. And I'm really glad to follow Clara. Amazing. That's exact. You nailed it. And we need to shout it from the mountaintops about the Rockefeller brothers, because this is serious stuff. So bear with me, bundle up, pull in close, because you're going to get the full speech. All right? So thank you to 350.org and all the organizers of this event. I'm thrilled to be here on this first ever Global Day of Action calling for fossil fuel divestment. I'm thrilled to stand with you today and to join in the call for divestment from fossil fuel companies. And New York City should be a leading voice in this movement. But let's be clear, the words fossil fuel divestment sends shivers up some people's spines. Pension fund managers, investors, mutual fund managers all break out in a cold sweat. And I guess that's why we're standing here on Wall Street, to send a clear message to investors. However, as a politician who understands that words matter, I'm aware that we're making conventional investors uncomfortable. Therefore, we have to be transparent and thoughtful as we move the ball forward. So today I want to talk both about divestment and reinvestment in renewable energy. So recently the City Council and the Mayor came together and passed a law requiring New York City to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. Right? The expression, 80 by 50. By 20? No, really 50. I wish it was by 20. Oh, that's how rumor control. That's how rumors spread. And in New York City, right, we're not alone. There are government entities calling for reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Washington, D.C., Boston, Los Angeles, California, Texas. And the agreement was recently reached by the U.S. and China, right? Everyone is on board with reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But the question is, right, how? And let's face the facts of how we can do that. And it has to be, we have to move, in order to reduce greenhouse gases, by definition, you have to stop using fossil fuels. And if we want energy, we have to start using more renewables, like sun and wind and geothermal. Thank you. I knew that. So, how are we going to get there? How are we going to access a large enough pool of money to meet the growing demand for renewable energy? And visionaries across the country are stepping up, right? Bloomberg and the Heising Simmons Foundation recently launched a clean energy initiative to invest in state-based sustainable energy projects Go figure, Bloomberg, a visionary in this. Right in our backyard, the new school is boldly investing its endowment and shifting its curriculum focus to focus on sustainability. And, needless to say, the city has a huge resource, our pension funds. One of the largest in the country. We could leverage those pension funds by investing in renewable companies and make that goal of 80 by 50 a reality. And given that the city's pension funds are a fixed sum, right, by definition, making new investments require deciding where not to invest. And a couple of investment funds that are legitimate and sustainable come to mind. They exist. BlackRock, FTSE's fossil fuel free indices, and MSCI's fossil fuel exclusion indices. These investment tools do make it possible in a very fiscally responsible way for large pension funds to divest. And there's precedent. I want to work with my colleagues in government and find a way to explore the possibility in a way that doesn't send shivers up anybody's spines. Thousands of New York workers will depend on the pension funds, and we must keep them secure by divesting and reinvesting into renewables. So here's where I need your help. I need your activism. I need your enthusiasm today and your smarts to continue to build the momentum for this transition. My colleagues in government need to hear your voices loud and clear. I need you to build well-rounded support for this movement to make divestment a reality. You know, you worked very hard to get our elected officials and our leaders to the climate change march. That was big. That was really big. That was huge! 400,000 people in New York City, led by our city's leaders, right? Led by our world leaders, Ban Ki-moon, Al Gore, our Mayor Bill de Blasio, our controller, Scott Stringer, our speaker, Melissa Mark-Ververito, council members by the dozens, all standing there shouting and being very supportive of fighting climate change. I need your help so that the next time we're gathered here today, we have those same leaders leading our march. We need to transition them and help them understand that by marching against climate change, they have to march for divestment. We're going to work together, make it happen.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Jarret Hova, Deputy Counsel for Policy and Legislation from the New York City Public Advocate Letitia James's office.
Hey everybody, how you doing? So, the public advocate couldn't be here today, but she asked me to be here because she wanted to make sure that her voice is added to the chorus of all the wonderful voices here today. So Tish sends her best, and she wishes that she could be here with you. I'm going to read a brief statement from her. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jarret. I'm counsel to Tish, the public advocate. There is ever-growing, irrefutable evidence that fossil fuels cause climate change. And this is and should be extremely concerning for all of us. And although it doesn't feel like it today, last year was the hottest year on record. Global warming and climate change are real and have disastrous effects, not just here in our city, but on our nation and on our planet. Here in New York, we can see it firsthand. We are experiencing worsening risks from coastal floods and storm surges, more dangerously hot days in the summer, the appearance of diseases typical of warmer climates, intense precipitation events, and longer dry spells. And believe it or not, a decrease in snow cover and earlier arrival of spring. In parts of the developing world, where governments and populations are less capable of dealing with the negative effects, the projected impacts and current impacts are even more dire. That is why we must explore all of our options towards divestment and decrease our reliance on fossil fuels. The public advocate, Tish, is dedicated to improving education efforts, to exploring the notion of divestment and finding ways to reduce our support of fossil fuel companies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would now like to introduce Stuart Braman from Fossil Free Indexes US.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to 350 for the invitation to speak today. It's great to see you all out here in the chilly air. I'm here representing Fossil Free Indexes, and we have a message today for people who are skeptical about divestment, people you're speaking to every day, that they need to hear. The idea behind Fossil Free Indexes is a very simple one. The climate risk is rising and we can't ignore it. The reserves of the fossil fuel companies are increasing, and most of them need to remain underground, unextracted and unburnt, and all investors need a chance to invest in the market without investing in those same fossil fuel companies. We began last year by updating the list of the top 200 fossil fuel companies globally based on the carbon emissions content of their reported reserves. We released that in April as the Carbon Underground 200, and that's the official list of the divestment movement today. The first thing we did after we released the list of the Carbon Underground 200 was to create an index based on it. We hired Standard & Poor's to take the S&P 500, and we subtracted the 26 companies that are also in the Carbon Underground 200 and created a fossil-free version of the S&P 500 called Fossil Free Indexes US, or FFIUS. And we created that for the simple reason that we wanted to give people investment opportunities in a fossil-free version of the S&P 500. So we took a look in January at how that did last year. In 2014, FFIUS outperformed the S&P 500 by 1.5%. We can't guarantee that that will happen every year, but it is a clear illustration of the potential cost of ignoring the risk of stranded assets. Okay, the overall takeaway, which is incredibly important, is that it's demonstrably not true that investors need to give up returns to divest from fossil fuels. I'm going to repeat that one more time. It's demonstrably not true that investors need to give up returns to divest from fossil fuels. Yesterday, in honor and support of Global Divestment Day, we released the 2015 edition of the Carbon Underground 200. 9 new companies on the list, 1.6% increase in the emissions embedded in those reserves over the last year. So the stakes are rising. There's 550 gigatons of carbon dioxide in the reserves, embedded in the reserves of the Carbon Underground 200. That's almost 5 times the carbon budget allocated to those companies. In other words, the amount of carbon dioxide that we can put into the atmosphere before we hit that 2-degree temperature rise mark that we're trying to stay away from. So you've all made great progress spreading the word, but we need to step it up. Spreading the word about the climate, the word about the fossil fuel companies, about fossil-free options that are available to investors, and we need more fossil-free options available to investors, and we need them soon. And I would say the good news is the message is beginning to get out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stuart. I'd now like to introduce Olivia Rich from NYU Divest.
Hi everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's really cold out here, so I want everyone to jump up and down 3 times. Unless you have a camera. Oh, looks like we got a microphone.
Hi, my name is Olivia Rich. I'm a member of NYU Divest, and I'm standing here today in solidarity with all the students around the world calling on their universities to divest from fossil fuels. These are frightening and uncertain times we young people live in. It is very alarming to see the effectiveness this industry has in silencing public discourse and preventing public action on this issue. And this is why our generation is turning towards our universities for action on climate. Universities, as institutions committed to fact and learning, must make a powerful public statement that they oppose the destruction of our planet and that they oppose the threat that the fossil fuel industry poses to the lives of their students. This industry likes to characterize us as radical, but what is really radical to me is the idea of a university prioritizing the interests of unsustainable and dangerous companies over the rights their students have to a safe, clean planet. I ask these universities today, whose side are you on? As the impacts of climate change become more devastating, as the risks of fossil fuel investments become more apparent, and as the divestment movement continues to build momentum, the time for our universities to act is now. I just came from a great action with NYU Divest, where several members, including myself, posed satirically as fossil fuel executives to deliver a heartfelt Valentine's Day message to NYU President John Sexton, professing the profound love the coal, gas, and oil industry has for the $139 million worth of investments they receive from NYU. We hope today he decides it's time for a breakup. Go to nyu.divest.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter because we will be releasing a video you won't want to miss. NYU cannot argue that its policies prohibit divestment. They divested during apartheid and they divested during the crisis in Sudan. Given the impact that climate change is having on impoverished and indigenous people around the world, it is time that NYU and every other university worldwide recognize climate change as the pressing human rights issue that it is and dump the fossil fuel industry. I think it's time for a little chant, so when I name a university, I want everyone to yell divest. NYU. Divest. Barnard and Columbia. Divest. Harvard. Divest. Yale. Divest. Swarthmore. Divest. Every university worldwide. Divest. This crisis is urgent. Our futures are at stake and we want justice now. We are here to tell our universities that enough is enough. We will not wait any longer. The time is now to make fossil fuels history and to invest not in our demise, but in our future. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce Brandt Weathers of the New School Advisory Committee on Investor Responsibility.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandt Weathers. My lip's really cold, so I'm sorry if I'm unable to understand what I'm saying. I'm from a small place next to Union Square called the New School. Maybe you've heard of it before? Yeah? Anyway, within this month, they recently announced that we have a full commitment to divest from fossil fuels. That makes us the second largest university in the United States to do so, which is great. It took us about 2.5 years of hard work to do this, as my primary work for about 2.5 years. So that's the tough message, I think, about this, which is it takes hard work, and a lot of it's boring work sometimes. It's a lot of meetings, and it's a lot of meeting with people that don't want to meet with you. But I want to say that the positive thing is, by the end of it, it also took a lot of kindness. It took a lot of listening to others and hearing their concerns and trying to speak to those. And finding more allies and finding people that you wouldn't think would be our allies, and by the end becoming friends with them. So I think there's a really positive way to go about doing this, and I think that I encourage you to continue the fight because it's obviously extremely important. And I just want to let you know that it may be hard, but you can still look good doing it. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to introduce Kevin Murungi from Global Kids, the Director of Human Rights and Foreign Policy Programs. Kevin.
Hi, everybody. You just heard my name is Kevin Murungi. I want to first of all thank everybody for being out here in less than optimal conditions, so give yourselves a round of applause. We're here because we know that this issue is exceedingly important. We heard about divestment campaigns, divesting from South Africa at the height of apartheid, divesting from, it's a campaign that I worked on personally, divesting from companies that are conducting that were conducting business in Sudan at the height of the Darfur genocide. Is making the comparison to this divestment campaign a stretch? I don't think so. I think it's quite similar. Our lives are at stake. The most vulnerable among us lives are at stake. That's why this campaign is so important. So you've heard a lot about the what. I'm here to talk about human rights and activism and how we're going to do this. I work for an organization that works with young people, global kids, young people from underserved communities in New York City and Washington, D.C. They have recognized from a while ago, before Superstorm Sandy, that this is an issue that impacts them directly. This is an issue that impacts humanity. And then Superstorm Sandy happened. A lot of my students lost their homes. A lot of student families lost their livelihoods. One of my students lost an uncle. So we realize that this issue is of critical importance. That's why Global Kids students have been working on a human rights activist campaign to mandate climate education in all New York City public schools. And I'm glad to mention that Councilmember Rosenthal is a sponsor on that legislation, so thank you so much wherever you are. I'm not going to ask you to pull out your pens. It's a bit cold. Keep your hands gloved, but commit this to memory. New York City Resolution 0375-2014. Resolution calling for mandated climate education in public schools. Get support for that. Now we are also going to join onto this divestment campaign because we know that it's our students who are directly impacted by these issues. It's our students who live in the Rockaways. It's our students who have the factories in their communities and the high asthma rates. It's farmers in my country, Kenya, who can't rely on the rains anymore, who are experiencing years of increased drought. It is this country that is experiencing drought, that farmers cannot farm like they used to. It is our educational institutions, like we were just so eloquently told. I think the young lady who spoke a second ago, I heard somebody say she should run for office. I agree. It is our university, our seats of higher learning, that need to actually make sure that none of their funding comes from fossil fuel companies. These are institutions that are going to have the future climate scientists, the future climate activists. We cannot have young people learning about what is critical to our future and human rights and having their institutions funded by companies that are exacerbating the problem. So, okay. So the message that I want to give you is young people are behind this campaign. Young people are going to contribute to this campaign. Young people are going to be central to this campaign. Global Kids is going to make divestment, along with mandated climate education, along with 80-20-50, the central issues of our campaign. And we're here to support. And you know, I'm going to take this back to our young people. I'm going to talk to our council members. That's one thing that's very important. We have to take advantage of the fact right now that we have elected officials in office who realize that this is the right thing to do. A lot of them do. Councilmember Donovan Richards, who supports us, who's the chair of the Environmental Committee, he realizes that this is the right thing to do. Councilmember Costa Constantinidis in Queens, who introduced our resolution, he realizes that divestment is the right thing to do. Councilmember Rosenthal knows this. We have the opportunity right now to work with elected officials who actually support this and realize it's the right thing to do. So now is a great opportunity to follow other nations that are doing this.
It's all right to tell them they should be here.
Let's do that, yes. I just read an article that Rwanda has just opened a huge solar farm. It's going to provide a high percentage of that country's energy. If little countries in Africa are doing this and doing this well, it's time for the U.S. to wake up. It's time for us to break our burden, to break our bond to these fossil fuel companies and do what's right and do what's logical. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up is Chris Fici from Union Theological Seminary and GreenFaith.
Hey everybody, really awesome. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be also with some other people of faith we're seeing here. United Methodist Church, the Episcopal Church, our best friends at Riverside Church, and from Union Theological Seminary. We became the first seminary in America to divest from fossil fuels this past year. It was an amazing experience. We had this great campaign with all of our students and our alumni and our faculty, and amazingly, miraculously, our administration and our board of trustees wanted to divest just as much as we did. So we're proud to be the first seminary to do that. We're proud to be one of the few first religious institutions to do that, and we're hoping to influence everybody else in religious communities to divest from fossil fuels. And we religious folk, we like to kind of get into issues of good and evil, and and that's sometimes an abstract thing, but I think just to get, excuse me for getting biblical for a moment, we're kind of here in the belly of the beast near Wall Street, and we're here asserting that this struggle is a sacred struggle, that the earth is sacred, that this means so much to us, that this is a spiritual struggle. And what does spiritual mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in an organized religion. That's not necessarily the best way of doing it most of the time, although we got great people here who are bringing this issue into their churches and bringing this issue into their communities, and understanding that it is our responsibility as people of faith to divest and also to reinvest. And we get into this question of what it means to divest and reinvest. And to do this, to pull our money and to pull our energy out of fossil fuels, to reinvest into renewables, and to reinvest, like Naomi Klein says, into communities that are shaping the future, this is a sacred struggle. And this is something that we're all wrapped up together. Martin Luther King says we're all wrapped up together in this garment of mutual destiny. And this divestment campaign that we're all fighting for is a big, big part of that. And we are really happy to be part of this, and it is an honor to be with all of you today. And we're going to do this together, or we're not going to do it at all.
Now, in closing, I would like to bring up Malik Yusef from the Hip Hop Caucus.
Good afternoon. Thanks to everybody for coming out and braving this weather. It's good to have days like this because we don't have many of them. So enjoy this day, enjoy this cold weather. And if we move forward with this mission to divest from fossil fuel, our children may be able to enjoy, or whether our grandchildren may be able to enjoy the change in weather and season changing. Unfortunately, we're here for a full-on, everyday summer planet. And we want to understand that the last time the climate changed, the species changed. So I'm going to do a poem about the sameness of us all, that we all share the same planet. That's the only one we have that we know of. If you got another one, give me a number later on, let me know about that. Reverend Minister Wood couldn't be here today, but he told me to send his blessings. You know, he is a reverend, so I will send his blessings. I'm not a reverend, I'm a sinner, but on his behalf, I give you blessings. Hope you receive them from him through me. The poem is called Everything. I see traffic lights on the corner, stage lights for the homeless as they dance. People pass the unknown superstar, unaware of all the everything, so they laugh. But he was once just like me. Although it seems unlikely, there's a chance that there's everything in everything, that we are everything in everything. I feel everything in everything. Life is a tree with 1,000,000,000 branches. Don't be afraid to take your chances. Did you know that we are everything? We can cure our poison waters and secure our sons and daughters. Please tell them they are everything. Are you connected to the electric? Because I'm connected to the electric. We are everything. So if you feel I'm connected to you, please scream out hallelujah, 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 everything. Hallelujah, hallelujah, everything. Hallelujah, hallelujah, everything. Wave your hands if you can't dance. If you can't sing, then you should scream. Hallelujah, hallelujah, everything. Hallelujah, hallelujah, everything. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Yusef. And Thank you, Malik, and thank you everyone for coming. Now we need you to go out there and continue to work on this. Fossil fuel divestment. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Clara Vondrich. I'm a member of 350 NYC. I'm here today interviewing Olivia Rich of NYU University. She is a student leader of their divestment movement. And I wanted to ask Olivia today about why she's involved.
I'm involved because I feel like this climate crisis has a direct impact on the future of me and the rest of my generation on a worldwide level. And I feel like I'm at an age where I need to be part of the decisions that are being made that affect my future. And I think when our endowments are a very strong way to send a message as to climate change. And so that's why I'm part of the movement. I want my university to make a strong statement saying that they oppose climate change and that it's time to move on from the fossil fuel industry and move towards renewable energy.
What statements, if any, has your university put out about climate change and the divestment movement more specifically?
Well, we believe that NYU takes a strong stance against climate change. They have a good sustainability program. We have a lot of respected professors who are warning us about climate change. In terms of divestment, we feel like we might need to push. We were told at a town hall meeting, we were able to meet with President Sexton. I wasn't a part of this was before I was part of the movement, that we would be able to potentially present to the board of directors if we move through the proper bureaucratic means. So it seems like they are open to divestment, but that's why we need to rally, that's why we need to have direct action, because we really need to let the university know that this is the only option, this is the only way to move forward. And so that's why we're at the rally today.
I was struck by the gentleman who spoke on behalf of the New School. The New School, as you know, just committed to divest from fossil fuels and reinvest in the clean energy future. I didn't know that they were the second biggest university to have done so. If New York's university were to divest, would it be the largest?
It would be the largest private university to divest from all fossil fuels so far.
It's incredible. And how many students are part of your group?
Well, I would say at least over 50. We don't see everyone at the meetings, of course, but we can often get very large turnouts for our actions. So, and we have over 1,000, maybe 2,000 petition signatures. We have people signing our faculty letter. We have a lot of community support for this movement, so we're really optimistic.
And do you coordinate with any of the other local schools or universities?
Somewhat. We want to do that more actually going forward. One of the things that we've really liked about Global Divestment Day is it's given us an opportunity to really collaborate with other people, and we want to hear their ideas, we want to help their campaigns and have them help our campaigns. So we really think that this is going to, moving forward, be a good way for us to work together and get done what needs to get done.
What do you think about the 2015 Paris climate talks? Do you view them as a hopeful change to reach a global deal?
I'm hopeful as long as we do not remain silent. I think if they think that the world is watching and they see that universities, religious institutions, governments are divesting and saying no to the fossil fuel industry, then we have a lot more to be hopeful for than if we just ignore it.
What would you say to those on the other side who claim that divestment is an empty symbolic gesture that will have no impact on the fossil fuel industry?
Well, I would say they're mistaken in a few ways. First of all, a lot of these people tend to have ties with the fossil fuel industry, so that might be the reason they're saying not to do it. Also, people tend to think we're trying to bankrupt the fossil fuel industry. We're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is stigmatize the fossil fuel industry and make strong public statements that what they're doing is unethical, unsustainable, and downright dangerous. And so we're trading in a sort of public political capital, not trying to bankrupt them. And then also, just from the financial perspective, yes, we're not trying to bankrupt them, but being invested in the fossil fuel industry is extremely risky. So I don't think it's empty at all. I think it's necessary, and I think it's similar to the anti-apartheid and anti-Sudan divestment movements. I think that this has a lot of value.
And I find it really ironic because if they wanted to, the global oil, gas, and coal companies could own the clean energy future if they wanted to with all of their wealth. Thank you so much, Olivia, for talking to me today.
Thank you.
NYU. Divest. Barnard and Columbia. Divest. Harvard. Divest. Yale. Divest. Swarthmore. Divest. Every university worldwide. Divest. NYU. Divest. Barnard and Columbia. Divest. Harvard.
Every university worldwide. NYU. Barnard and Columbia. Harvard. Yale. Swarthmore. Every university worldwide. This crisis is urgent. Our futures are at stake and we want justice now. We are here to tell our universities that enough is enough. We will not wait any longer. The time is now to make fossil fuels history and to invest not in our demise, but in our future. Thank you.